Hi, everyone. It's Lauren and Phoenix here. We're getting together for part of that whole, holiday exchange. And this is session 2. We've already done session 1, and we're happy and excited to be here. We're talking about getting intuition and listening to your intuition for self, and how to do that. And we've answered some of your questions so far, and really great response. Again, we're really excited, and say hi, Phoenix.
Hi. So thank you once again to coming, watching this for our session 2. And once again, I personally don't know what the rest of the questions are, so I'm just going to go with the flow. And it's something that Lauren and I are obviously very good at, and not getting too stressed with whatever gets thrown in our way as we go with the flow. So I'll let Lauren start the first question if you want to, honey.
Sure. Okay. So our first question in this session is from Melanie Daniels, and very similar to our last one. Am I doing my true calling in life? And so I know if you watch the first one, probably going to be very, very similar. Are you doing your true calling? And I would ask you, well, do you feel like is there something else nagging at you that you want to do, that you feel like you should be doing? And, I don't think we all have just one particular purpose in life. I think we have different ones to choose from. Some of us have an option. I think I could passionately pursue my exercise physiologist career, or pursue my, spiritual development type of career, spiritual-based business career. And either one, I think, would be a calling for me, because I'm called to serve. And if you feel called to serve, or you feel called to create, whatever that is in that broad perspective, you get to choose how you fulfill that desire within you. So again, I really kind of want to ask you, do you feel like you're doing the right thing, that you are living your purpose and your passion? And if so, if you have another interest, there's really no reason why you couldn't pursue that as well. I'm one person. I've had a million interests, and I've been like a jack of all trades, and I think all of that has contributed to my purpose or my path on this life and the lessons that I needed to learn. So I kind of don't believe in having only one particular purpose. Some people do have that, but I think for the most of us, it's being mother, it's being, a career, whatever it is. There's multiple aspects to that, and if you're uncomfortable, if you're not in the right space, if you're meeting a lot of resistance in whatever you're doing, then that's a clue that you're not on the right path. But if you feel that you are, and you just have a calling for more, figure out what that is, and just take little steps towards those interests, and you'll feel it in your heart, as I'm sure Phoenix always reminds us. It's heart-based. Let's meld that mind and heart, and go again. Like, if you're called to create, whatever little your chosen path within that broad perspective of creating is, go for it. And those steps, whatever step you take, will lead you to the next step that you should be on, if you're listening to your heart. So what do you got to say, Phoenix?
Absolutely awesome what you've said so far. We try to make things so complicated, don't we? And trying to find our purpose, and trying to find our calling, and trying to find the direction that we're supposed to take. And are we supposed to do A, B, C, and D? And no, we're supposed to do F, G, A. Okay, I've got all the letters of the alphabet that I'm getting confused with. But you know what I'm trying to say? And trying to make things complicated, we complicate what is essentially a simple process, and that is to be the best you that you can be. You're here as your human physical being, for me, it's Phoenix, Lauren, you, Melanie, it's Melanie. It's being the best you that you can be. And the only person that you can compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday, or the person you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Essentially, the true calling, once again, as I talked about in session 1, is all about the passion, the things that drive you, the things that bring you joy, the things that lift your heart, the things that move you forward. And, you know, if you get the other things that are completely different, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you've failed. It just means you are becoming more vibrant in your experience, and you're bringing more to the melting pot that is the essence of you. And that is all I can really say about that, is that you are destined to be the best you that you can be, and the only one that stops any progression forward or whatever is you. And stop overcomplicating and just simplify. Says me, because I used to try to divine everything. I used to try to find answers for everything. I didn't necessarily try lots of different things, because I only ever did the things that I enjoyed. I must have known that inherently. But the thing is, though, if you can rise up and allow yourself to be seen doing the things that you love, then you are doing your true calling. And that is as simple as it gets. And you can make it as complex. If you feel like it needs to be a complex process, then by all means, please do whatever you need to do. But just do it and be okay with it, however you do it. We make decisions and then we think, oh no, I shouldn't have done that decision. Make peace with the decisions you've made, because it's filling up your the melting pot that is you. So be the best you that you can be. Now, I'm just going to go back a little bit to the next question. And Lauren might see it being different, but that's okay. And I'm going to answer Margaret's question. And in meditation, she sees many faces. So this is a person that's got something totally different. And she often sees lips moving, but doesn't hear anything. And even though she's been told, she blocks herself, which always discern what you get told, especially when it comes to yourself. The person that answers that question is you, not someone telling you. She sat waiting patiently and listening, and even thought of giving up. Expectation for anything that you try to do spiritually, because I believe anybody can do anything if they put their mind to it, especially their mind, because that's what stops us. That's what, you know, puts that resistance out there for us. If you believe that when someone's lips are moving that you are supposed to hear something and you can't, you're just going to punish yourself and think, I'm doing something wrong. That's our default setting. If we have an expectation and it doesn't quite work out the way you think it should, then we automatically think we're doing something wrong. Have you thought, Margaret, that they are telepathically talking to you as opposed to verbally talking to you? Have a look at the faces. Are they human? And have a look at the experience, because a lot of the time people tell us things to our faces, but they're not telling us what's going on in the heart. There is an illusion by what we say and how we feel, and what is actually the real truth that needs to be said. Look at the experience, Margaret, as opposed to automatically thinking you're doing it wrong, you're blocking yourself. I mean, you might be, and you're especially going to block yourself if you think that. You'll just totally move away from it. But look at the actual experience as an individual experience. They're speaking, but there's no words coming out. Is it because they are unable to speak? It could be anything. Their throat chakra, the flow energy could be anything. Are they faces that you recognize? Are they faces that are human? Can they express in a different way? Can they tell you how they are feeling by helping you feel a similar way? think outside the box. We humans are jolly good at fitting things into a box, and I'm very mindful of how I express. I'm going to call it express, but it's teaching. How I teach the things I do, because always discern what you're being told, always, and make sure it sits right for you. And Margaret, the experience that you have could be anything. And it could be not just based on the fact that they are speaking or not speaking, or however they wish to. It's entirely up to the experience that you're going through and thinking outside of the box. There'll be something more to the experience. And I'm curious to challenge you to sit in that moment again and have a similar experience and see what you feel, see what you see what comes to you, a knowledge and knowing. And if the head goes, oh, I'm doing it wrong, or I'm blocking myself in some way, shape or form, then step back from that and go, well, possibly, but I'm going to persevere, and it could be something more than what is on the surface. Because remember, people only say things that aren't always the truth as well. So just sit with the experience and maybe have another experience like that. And Lauren, do you have anything to say to that?
No, I think you just said what was on my mind, which was to I was going to ask, when you have that experience next time, really pay attention to the emotion that you're feeling and the impressions that you're getting, because most of our communication, something like 80% of our communication, is all body language and facial expressions anyway. And so if you're seeing these faces and you're seeing these lips move, then you might be able to get a lot out of paying attention, because you're occupied by saying, like, what are they saying? I'm supposed to be hearing something. I'm not getting it. And you're putting all that pressure on yourself, but you may be missing, again, talking about subtleties, the subtleties of what is going on and what you're seeing. So again, that nonverbal communication is really important, and see if you can get and be patient with yourself, just like Phoenix was saying. And yeah, that's it.
And the next question is from Bonnie. I'm just going to read it. I know that for me, when knowing comes, it just flows in. But when I consciously try to hear it, I am blocked and feeling like I'm pulling out information that doesn't feel true, like it does when I'm not searching for it. Maybe you could address this. There is a famous saying by all the Star Wars fans out there at the moment, from Yoda: do not try. As in do, comma, not try. Because when you do, it is, as you said, Bonnie, it's a natural flow. When you try, there are two drivers of that car that occur there. There is the heart and the head. Now, you know what it's like when you've got a passenger that's trying to tell the driver what to do, and a driver that's just yelling at the passenger and say, don't tell me what to do, I can drive. The thing is, if you stop allow the process, and because you've just said that, when the knowing comes, it just flows in. And I can relate to this, because knowing was my first clear cognizance, it's called. And to the point where I got told I was a know-it-all. People would say something and I would just come out with all this information, and I had no idea where it came from. And I honor that. I honor it comes from that it's from something else, but it also honor myself that it comes through me, because I allow it to come through and it comes out of my mouth. When my head gets in the way, though, and I'm curious, because it seems like you're ready to move into the next step, because with me it was knowing, and then I started knowing and feeling were very close together, and then the hearing came in, and then of course I started seeing all sorts. The hearing and the seeing started at the same time. If I relaxed into it, then it happened with ease. If I tried to hear, because one of my challenges is identifying names, and I can hear. When I say I hear it. And you know how they talk about the pineal gland? That is your intuitive gland, and it's right in the middle. If you an arrow that goes through your head both ways, then that point right in the middle is essentially where your pineal gland is. And that's where I hear it. But it sometimes feels like it comes out of my ears, but it's not really. And you obviously have an expectation that you want to hear it, and you will hear it, but you're not going to hear it the human way. So I ask whether or not you hear, whether you want to hear it how you hear you and me talking, and you wonder whether or not it's true. And that comes back to the Yoda, you need to just do it rather than try, because there is no try. It just happens, and it will happen, and it will give you a fright the first time you start hearing things, and you wonder whether, once again, that you're going to make it up. But the thing is, if you just go with the flow of what comes naturally for you, and obviously it's this knowing, and it's really hard to define the knowing sometimes, and I don't know if you journal or write, but you need to get this knowing out, and you need to get that a lot stronger, because it's obviously flowing naturally. And the good thing is, if you do that, then you'll find the other stuff, the hearing, the seeing, the feeling, smelling, that'll all happen naturally as well. And if you feel like you're working for it, yes, the head can get in the way, and it can make you feel a little bit confused and blocked on whether or not you're making it up and stuff like that. But the thing is, if you just focus on the knowing for a bit, you've obviously got a desire to hear. So I'm picking that'll be the next one for you. You will start hearing as long as you just relax into the moment and allow the process. And Lauren, have you got anything to say to that?
Just a little. I want to say, when you get it, when you're not wanting to get it or trying to get it, it's because you're in a relaxed, you're probably very present at that time. Your mind is not fixated on a thought or trying to do something or get to somewhere, anything other than where you are. And so spirit, guides, your intuition, whatever, sees that as the easiest time to get, because you're receiving information probably all the time, but that is when you're able to get it the clearest, because you're not fixated on trying to do anything. And so if you can somehow, when you do quote unquote try or sit down with the intention, so instead of saying you say to yourself, I'm going to try and do this and get information and hear it, say, I'm going to sit down with the intention of receiving. And it kind of just shifts, just even the language shifts your perspective a little bit. And so, and you'll start to hear things, and you might get excited. Oh, I did it. But you forgive yourself for that. And then again, get into that space of, I'm just going in with the intent of receiving and not getting. So when you're receiving, you're in this place of calm, of whatever happens type of thing. But if you're trying, you're almost fighting to get something, and that's when you're going to get blocked. So try to shift that inner language a little bit about when you try or what your intention is, and that, I feel like that might even help you a little bit more too. And that's what I had to say about that.
So that's exactly, that's in a nutshell. And you will just relax into that state of receiving, and you'll find things will happen way more naturally, and you will surprise yourself. It's only a matter of time. Because remember, funny a word I say that, we are in a state of remembrance or remembering. We're not really in a state of learning. We are remembering things that we already know, and also remembering how to tap into the things that we already know and allowing it to come naturally. So just settle with that a little bit, Bonnie, and you'll find that when you get into your receptive state, it will happen, and it's just a matter of time. Rosie's asked a question, and it's a very specific one, and I'm going to try and answer it as generally as I can, because she asked about a specific seeing something, and she believes that she's getting messages from spirit to tell her to go there. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to answer it specifically, but I will say that everything around you right now, Rosie, is providing you the answers to your desires. Everything is in plain sight. Nothing is hidden. Once again, it's a human construct to make everything a puzzle. And I think it needs to be. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because humans tend to try a lot harder if there's a challenge involved. If things are easy, then people just go pip, and put the puzzle together, and it's like, meh, I've done it now what? The thing is, though, everything around you is in plain sight. But with everything that you are experiencing, settle and allow it to sit and find out whether or not that is what you want to do. Because it's all well and good spirit saying that you need to go to A, B, C, and D. But the thing is, if it feels wrong, if it feels wrong from a heart perspective, not a head perspective, because that's where all our resistance lies. But if it feels wrong from a heart perspective, then ask yourself, you know what, I understand that this is where you want me to go. If you really want me to go there, then this A, B, C, and D needs to happen before I even consider it. You can negotiate. I know that sounds like you're dealing with the devil, maybe. I'm not saying you're working with the devil, but you know what I mean. You're just, if you want me to go there, then this, and that has to happen. Because something doesn't feel quite right now. The timing's not, all divine timing and things like that. Please, Rosie, just discern what I'm saying. If you feel like you need to go there and you feel like everything is in place for you to go there, then ask yourself, why are you resisting it? That's the other side of the coin. Why don't I want to go? What am I fearful of? Or what do I want to stay around where I currently am? And that's where the head gets in the way, and that's where we get all confused with our, where we are going in our path in life. But as I said before, there is no right and there's no wrong. It just is. You have the experiences and you make the most out of it. So that's all I'm going to say to that, Rosie, I'm afraid. What do you have to say, Lauren?
Just similar things. I know that when you ask your spiritual team, guides, angels, whatever you call them, to say, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I think I'm getting, and you ask for another sign or you ask for something, they will almost always give it to you. The only time that you'll be so unsure is when you start analyzing and investigating and questioning everything, because you're leaving no room for that inspiration. And like Phoenix says, everything's in plain sight. I mean, it's not going to, Spirit's not going to send you an email and say, this is what I want you to do, although that would be so easy. But I feel like, another thing is, if you are feeling, we know when we're being stagnant, we feel that. There's no right or wrong. I'm saying, oh, that's wrong to feel stagnant. It's just where you are and what you're prepared to do. But if you are feeling this way where you're feeling a push and like you need to do something, but you're not sure what it is, ask for clarification. Then you would know that maybe some type of change is in order. But if everything is fine and you're good with where you are, then, and this seems to be coming out of nowhere, you would have no idea or no reason why you would want to make such a change, then you know in your heart that maybe that's not right. So really go where you're feeling strongly, where you're feeling moved. Sit down with yourself with that, and again, ask for clarification, because you'll 9 times out of 10 get it.
Exactly. Now this is going to be the last question for our session here, and it's very, very similar to all the other questions. I probably should have grouped them all together, my bad, but I wanted to do things in order based on how people are questioned it. And things happen for a reason. I like to honor that aspect. And Ekko Day asked whether or not I'll just say what she wrote. I don't seem to get anything during meditation, once again. When I do guided meditations to meet my spirit guide or meet my guardian angels or whatever, it seems like whatever I have recently read about or seen recently shows up as the guide or angel. It seems that my mind hijacks the meditation and fills in the blank, so to speak. How do you keep the mind from taking over? Now, it's quite interesting. I don't know how often you meditate, Ekko, and I don't know how often or what your allowance factor is with regard to the things that you experience in meditation. I do ask whether or not you've had an experience which gave you a fright. I do ask whether or not something made you feel uncomfortable and you weren't quite sure how you're going to get comfortable doing that, because our head is in a constant state of trying to protect us. And I remember my very first time that I saw a guardian angel, and based on how I viewed her, like she was 9 feet tall and huge and vast, and this was about 15, 20 years ago now. And I asked her my role in life, and it was actually Archangel Gabriel. And I'm a shamanic witch. And for a witch to receive an angel, it's a bit unique. But the thing is, though, I'm open to all things. I'm very eclectic when it comes to who I am. But anyway, so it turns out, and the thing that they told me was I had to teach. Now, at that point, I thought, I don't have anything to teach. What am I going to teach? And then 20 years, 15 years later, here I am. But the thing is, though, it's frightened the bees out of me, and I thought, there's no way. And so I don't think I saw that energy again in a meditated state, because it was overwhelming. One, being told that I had to teach, it's like, what can I teach? I haven't done any, major intuitive academic stuff, but I don't believe you need to have all the acronyms that come with some intuitive developmental certificates, but that's just my opinion. Anywho, but the experience that I had stopped me from having them coming back again anytime soon. Now, I believe our mind can protect us and introduce things that are considered safe. Now, I'm not quite sure how your mind hijacks and what images they put in. I don't know how do you see the angel as I'm currently watching The Vampire Diaries. Do you see him as one of the characters of The Vampire Diaries? I mean, how does it work for you? Does it make you feel safe? Is there a reason behind it, do you think? Or conversely, if you have a busy mind and do keep some of the things that you experience in your day, have you thought about just having a quick shower and Control-Alt-Delete all the images that you've received in the recent probably hour or two before you meditate, and go in with what Lauren was talking about before, with the intention of viewing people in their purest form, or energies in their purest form. So you can approach it that way and see your reaction as you do so. Now, your mind does not hijack, your mind protects, and you may need to ask yourself why that is. And as for filling in the blanks, that's because your mind is, as Lauren was talking about before, is finding a way to switch off that mind to stop it from being so busy as you try to get into that receptive state. And there are many different ways of doing it, which is we've talked about either in this session 2 or session 1. And so go back and watch what we've talked about. But really ask yourself why your mind is currently trying to protect you right now, and decide that I don't need protection. And you may think that already. I don't feel like I need protection. But there'll be an allowance factor that is stopping your natural progression. And you know what? Congratulations in seeing the things that you see. Even though the mind is putting the images there, with the experience that I had with Archangel Gabriel, I saw it was a her, but I have seen Gabriel as a he. And my definition of how because how to ever we make ourselves comfortable is how we will visualize the energy that we're working with. And it is all different for every, my definition of Archangel Gabriel will be different to Lauren's or different to yours, Ekko. And it's up to you to realize that there is an agreement that occurs between whatever you're coming in contact with to decide whether or not you can have an effective communication. And I'm talking more about channeling as opposed to meditation, but there is an agreement that occurs as you go into a receptive state, whether or not you're channeling or whether or not you are meditating or dreaming or whatever receptive state that you're finding yourself in. So what do you think, Lauren?
I forget. Okay, so I was thinking initially as you were speaking that, it was very interesting that you brought up the mind protecting, because, at first we go with what's familiar to us. And if you, I don't know how long you've been meditating, but, you go with what's familiar. So spirit, like they don't have one specific form, physical, they're not physical. So, whatever image comes to you, that's how they feel safe presenting themselves, your intuition, giving it to you. So, and that's what probably underlying emotionally you are comfortable with right now. And as you, continue, maybe practice, I don't say practice to perfect, I mean like your, as a general meaning, your practice, your meditation practice in general, as you continue with it, it will allow for, different definitions. And as you broaden your mind and as you learn more and as you take more into consideration, I think these are just like, don't beat yourself up that, oh, it's all fake because I'm only getting what, it's just how it's being presented to you. Whenever we do anything, we are the interpreter at the end of the day. We're like the phone and, or the radio, so to speak. And so if we're not, we could be getting static, we could be, have a limited range for what we're able to get right now, so it's just kind of where you are, where your vibration is, where your intent is. And I really feel strongly that as you go along, it will change for you. Just accept it right now as how you're getting information, because that's where your mind is. But as you broaden it and as you continue, you will, those things will change and you will get different things, maybe more specific in the way that you want to. But again, as we kind of keep coming back to, limit your expectations. Expectation is what, and our definition of right or wrong and what's real, what's not real. Those, very human definitions are what it seems, when you get right down to it, is what is causing the block, so to speak. So I really believe that we get this information. It's not, oh, we don't get it, or I can't receive it. You are receiving. It's just your conscious ability to recognize and acknowledge it. So it's all there. It's all within you. You have access to all of this knowledge. You have access to almost whatever you want. It's how good is your signal? How clear is your reception right now? And it varies. For me, it varies day to day. And it's totally different today than it was a year ago. And in between, going up and down. So be patient with yourself, and it will come. It will come.
Well, that's this session done. And once again, thank you for watching us. And we will do more. And I do hope you've enjoyed the process. And I know I have had an absolute blast. I just wish there was more hours. And because I know Lauren and our time zones, it's getting together is a bit of a challenge, because I'll be honest, time isn't something that is irrelevant for me. And so when we have to make times to meet, it's like, oh, and then I got it wrong, and then oh my goodness, but then we finally manage. I mean, the good thing about Lauren, and I really do appreciate you, by the way, is that and I'm similar, is that it happens when it happens, and that's with everything that you're about to go through in your development as you are remembering. Everything will happen as it happens, as you are becoming the best you that you can be. And
I
that's
really love that you say, I'm sorry, love that you say that, the whole remembering, because again, talking about that perspective, it means you already know. You're not trying to find something that you don't have access to already. It's just about remembering rather than searching, investigating. I love that you say that.
and that's something that I remembered. But thank you once again, lovely people, and thank you, Lauren. And we will do this again very shortly, but sooner rather than later, I hope, and finish all. We've got many sessions to finish, but it's a really busy time of the year, and I'm very mindful of both my family and Lauren's life as well, to make sure that we can come together and continue. And yeah, so thank you, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I do hope that you enjoy what was presented today. Thank you.
Thank you.